Hey, I'm Tobin Leigh, jumping into Superchamps, the top karting league near London. I'm a sim racer though, very new to real karting, and the question is, has sim racing given me the ability to be fast on a real track? Let's find out. This is round 3, but how have I gotten on so far? So in round 1, I turned up, I'd never done it before, and to be honest, I was almost overwhelmed. It's so physical, it's so hard, it's really tough to be fast. However, I didn't give up. I studied lots of videos, and in round 2, I somehow managed to win the final race. I managed P1, it was insane. So we're now in round 3, and the question is, can I keep up this momentum, or am I just gonna bottle it? Let's find out. So welcome to the kart. So we're doing today 3 races. We're starting off with 2 shorter heats, and then we're going to do a Grand Prix race at the end, which is much longer, and that is where the points are scored. So we're lining up on the grid here. P15 to start. It's a random grid. So let's see what kind of start we can get as we come around the final corner. It's a bit of a messy kind of restart. I've left quite a large gap ahead of me, to be fair. But we get green light, and I actually get an incredible run straight up the inside of 2 karts up to P14. However, my happiness ends there as I'm actually left really far on the outside. I washed out, but then look at that huge incident as like 5 cars are just off to the side, and I'm able to squeeze through. I'm side by side here with Jamie, who's a very fast driver himself, and there's another huge collision which puts me up to P7. So this heat is looking pretty solid in terms of gaining positions, just because I kept out of trouble. I may have made good progress though, but you can see the front of Jamie in that red kart with the red suit. He's very close and actually breathing down my neck. So I'm very aware of this as we speed up coming up to turn 1. And once again, I found I had kind of like, you can see the back end of my kart was quite slidey, and that allowed a gap up the inside for Jamie, and he makes a move. However, unfortunately, he didn't manage to kind of sit it on the apex, so I was able to just get a switch back. And now there's lots of karts behind him, so I knew that because I was at the front of the pack, if I just put my head down, I'd be able to get away. And to be honest, I actually did. I managed to just pull a little bit of a gap, and I was very safely in P7. And to be honest, that's pretty much all that happened until the very few last laps remaining. And so we've literally skipped on, and we're like 1 lap away from the end of the race. Bobby Trunley, a very quick driver, he's leading the heavies category in this series, but I managed to catch up to him, and that's pretty much the end of the race. So there we go. Basically that race was all in on lap 1, and then I was just chilling for the rest of it. So with that in mind, obviously had a pretty good first race, but it's time to get into race 2. And now I'm excited for race 2, you see, because whereas in the last race we were quite far down and we got lucky, let's be honest, with all the incidents happening, we're now P4 overall. So, you know, we could make another really good result here if we just keep it all together and keep out of trouble. So my focus at the moment is keeping the gap to the kart ahead, and trying to get as good of a run as we possibly can as we start this race. So coming around here, you can see a little bit of an acceleration, keeping a kart's gap, and then hard on the power now with the green light. I get an absolutely great start. However, the 149 kart ahead did not, and that has meant that I'm being backed up. And you can see Tom there, Tom Brown in the Mercedes suit on the inside, has gone all the way from like P7 up to the lead. So it just shows you, if you get on that inside, it's huge. And we are now kind of settling in P6. We're being kind of knocked around quite a bit, but we've managed to get out okay without being in a wall. So a pretty good start. It's all about getting into the rhythm now. So we're looking ahead, lots of quick drivers, but I've got good pace here. I'm not. I think I was in the top 3 in terms of raw pace. So I can definitely make some moves as we proceed into lap 2. Jamie, actually, who was attacking us in race 1, right behind us, and he's attacking us again, which I'm a bit conscious that I really need to make sure that I'm not being attacked so that I can go forwards. So I absolutely need to kind of break away from the pressure that he's putting on. as we come into the final couple corners of the lap. And ultimately the 128 kart, the green suit with the Lewis Hamilton helmet, is my target. So into turn 1, he actually goes pretty defensive here. And notice what happens to his kart as he goes into the corner. His back end just slides. I think he got off the grip and it just made him go wide. And that's me up into P5, and I didn't really have to do anything. He didn't really even have to defend, really. I wasn't close enough for a send. So quite lucky that he did. And obviously pushed him into a mistake. And now we've got the guy that started ahead in P2 ahead, and he's the next target. I found it quite funny. I think this was the first round that the driver ahead had done, and he has exactly the same race suit and gear, like helmet, as me, like exactly the same, like gloves, suit. He's my twin, I tell you, he's my twin. But I want to be the quicker of the twins, let's be honest. Who doesn't want to be quicker than their twin? I don't know. But anyway, lap 9, as we skip ahead, still in P5. You can see we've got great pace though. We're keeping right up with the P2, P3 up ahead. But I want that P4 because, you know, going backwards is not what I had in mind for this race. So coming into this left-hander though, the guy ahead, it looks like he hit a bump and his old kart kind of like lost a bit of traction. He went wide, and that's another move. Thankfully, one that I don't really have to work too much for, which is lucky, because those kind of moves are always the best in karting. So at this point, we only had about 2 laps remaining, but I was already right on the back of the guys ahead. However, behind a driver called Archie Bullard, who is absolutely phenomenal around here. He's super quick, and he definitely has a great kart too. And the pairing of them both is an extremely threatening thing to have bearing down. So coming on to lap 11 very shortly, again my focus is ahead, but also got to be very careful not to leave any doors open that Archie could potentially take advantage of. So coming around the last corner, I get a great run on the 150 kart, looking to the side, looking behind, I see Archie's behind me. However, look at this, he gets a run, he gets alongside me, and he's able to get the move done, and he mugs me. And he's up to P4 himself, which, to be fair, he came from so far back. You've got to be, you know, fair play and everything. But yeah, I had no defence against that. I had no idea he'd be alongside me. And once I'd gotten over crying about how I'd been overtaken, I did manage to cross the line in P5 for race 2. So look, again, another pretty solid result, being in the top 5. You know, not too bad. However, this is where everything changed, as we're about to get into the Grand Prix race, which is the most important race of the day. It's where all the points are scored. So let's see how I get on. So we're starting P6, which is actually a really, really good place to be in the grand final. We could definitely make some positions up. We can get some good points. But the problem is, not to ruin the surprise too much, but we also get new karts for every race, and my kart, let's just say, it's terrible. I don't know this yet, but it's absolutely terrible. I'll point out the signs, but I didn't know it here, but we'll see. I'm still salty about it now, to be honest. I'm obviously not too salty anymore. I have let it fade. This race was actually quite a while ago. But anyway, we come around the final corner and we get on the power, but everyone's absolutely left us. And so luckily the stewards did recognise that that I had a bad start, so they actually just made everyone do it again, which is very kind of them. So it was a false start. The leaders did actually get on the power a bit too early. It was a bit unfair. A bit unfair that I didn't get a good start, so they rigged it. But you can actually see that up at the front there's a lot of tension with the top 2 drivers. But as we come around the final corner and do get on the power, we get a monster launch again. Our starts today have been awesome, even if I do complain about the go-kart. But coming into the turn 1 though, look at that. I just get a turn in and the back just kind of comes round and there's nothing I can do. But watch this, turn 2. And on the brake, and the guy ahead, Carlos, he just spins. But yeah, it just shows how tricky these karts are to drive. But we skip on and watch this. The 138 kart, he bumps someone off. Now this, I don't often get frustrated, but this was really frustrating because look at that. The 138, he takes someone out, and And then when I'm blocking him, he's like raging, and he's like hitting that guy in green as well, lunging him. And my car, honestly, I knew at this point that I was lacking on grip, because you can see even through that corner, he absolutely, sends it on me. So I go defensive, and then the guy that's just taken someone out is pointing at me, telling me to go forward, and then he just punts me off anyway, and then effectively calls me stupid as he goes through. So that guy, absolutely, he's got anger issues in this race, I'll be honest. Yeah, that, jokes aside, I remember that really annoyed me, because I was like struggling to keep pace anyway, and then that guy's like effectively being quite rude to me, almost like I'm an idiot. Ultimately, I was lacking pace in the car, and it was putting me under extreme pressure from everyone behind. You can see I'm just backing up into everyone. So we've got the 143 kart, and also Bobby Trunley as well, and I get another little punt, and ultimately that sends me deep. And then coming into the final corner, there's the gap opened up on the inside, and I'm down to P8, and then Bobby's through as well. You can see he's on the inside, so I'm about to get down to P9 as well, just like that. There we go. And then there's another car up the inside, and that's what, P10? Yeah, and then another, oh my word, like P11. Like, are you joking me? Like, there's no way, right? But no, this is karting. This is what it's like. If you're slow, like I am in this race, you get really punished. So I'm all the way down to P10. I remember just being like, look, I'm going to try and enjoy the drive, but it was quite difficult to enjoy the drive because people were like loading the back of my car, just sending me out the way. So there we go, P11. What am I supposed to do? Like, I can show you the data sheets after this. You know, that I was running like a second a lap slower than in the first two races. P12, oh look, I'm about to get down to P13. So just get a nice little bump there. You know, I don't want to sound salty, by the way, because I know I do. But you know, it's when you've got a poor car in karting, you know, it's a bit of a sense. And there's Carlos, who binned it. You know, don't forget, like if we look back here, Carlos literally spun and was facing the wrong way. If we just rewind, like he comes through turn 2, sends it, and he's able to spin, face the completely wrong direction, and then in 5 laps he's able to catch and overtake me. That is crazy. Like the lack of pace here, or just really impressive recovery from him. It is obviously a mix of both. But honestly, like, just all of this was rustling my jimmies, I can tell you that. It's been definitely the most frustrating Grand Prix race I've ever done. Most frustrating karting race I've ever done. But anyway, I'm going to stop complaining. We collect ourselves as I get on the power. And you can see, I don't know how much you can see on the video, but when I get on the power, I'm having to counter steer around these corners because the back end's coming round on itself. And it just makes it so difficult to be quick when you're literally having to lift in places where no one else is having to lift. So we come up, is lap 8 now, and you know, we're P13. It's quite a poor position to be in, but the two ahead are fighting. I might actually be able to get a position here, maybe with the 150 kart ahead, but no, unfortunately not. And we come round, continuing on lap 8, and we come through the penultimate corner, and okay, my GoPro died, guys. My GoPro died. Okay, that's all you're gonna see of my, you know, it's so fitting that my GoPro has decided to end its career in this race, but that is literally all I have. So yeah, it's a bit anticlimactic, but to conclude the video, we're currently in 3rd in the overall championship. However, lots of people around us haven't done 1 or 2 of the rounds, and there's a drop round involved, so therefore I'm probably a bit lower than 3rd in the end. And yeah, we'll have to see how we get on next week. Be sure to subscribe, by the way, if you want to see the next race. Please, it really helps me. And also, a like rating goes really far. You don't understand how long these videos take. I'm kind of like even questioning whether they are worth the time. So if you think they are worth the time, definitely you know, leave a like rating. But I'm going to be continuing on. I'm going to get through the season and then see what everything's all about. So thank you very much, and see you next time.